as many of you heard, the Judge Kelley, ruled in our favor. NUBC Neighbors United Below Canal filed in Article 78 against the mayor's horrendous plan to build 4 borough-based jails, one right behind us at 124 or 125 White Street. 2 years ago, community activists, small business owners, stakeholders came together and formed this organization to educate our seniors, to educate residents, to educate stakeholders on what was being proposed to our community. And it was through that activism that we made sure our voices were heard and that transparency exists. And over 2 years have passed since we went to community board meetings. We testified at the Manhattan Borough President scoping session, where we protest with 1,000 people along the streets of Chinatown demanding to stop this jail. And lastly, we went to City Council and we waited hours to be heard. And once we realized we weren't going to be heard, we took the only avenue that was presented to us, and that was to file a lawsuit. We filed the lawsuit on the grounds that the city illegally violated their own process, their own Mueller process. And finally, as many of you know, we won our lawsuit. I am honored to be here today, not only with NUBC co-founders, but stakeholders, activists, part of our legal team that stood up for this community and said we need answers. This process will not move forward if we don't get the answers that this community deserves. And so today we'll hear from other co-founders of NUBC, petitioners who put their small business, their lives on the line to fight back against the city. A representative from NYU who said that these developments were going to harm our seniors, and other activists who have been there since the very beginning. So I'd like to call up one of the co-founders, a real Chinatown hero, Jan Lee.
Thank you, Chris. I share our co-founder status with our good friend Howard Huey, who's a lifelong resident, as am I. This is a momentous occasion, not just for Chinatown, but for all of New York City that is fighting Mueller processes, land use processes. What this decision has said is that the city, even the city of New York, cannot break the rules when it comes to land use issues. One of the paramount issues that the judge had talked about in his ruling was that you can't simply change the site of a jail and then cut off the rest of the community from any further discussion and use data for an entirely different location. We're going to hear from one of our petitioners on this lawsuit, Ed Cuccia, who's a local attorney who has deep knowledge of our small businesses, who has deep knowledge of immigrants in our community. And Ed, I'm going to give it to you to say a few words.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
And first things first, congratulations!
Yay!
And indeed, I'm one of the named petitioners in this lawsuit. I'm an attorney. I represent many of the restaurants, businesses, and residents here in Chinatown, Little Italy, and downtown Manhattan. If this jail had happened, Chinatown would have been destroyed. And we have to acknowledge that. We have to see the stupidity of that proposal. So what has happened here is we're giving a lifeline to Chinatown. We've got to save this amazing, iconic community. Chinatown is a treasure, it's a jewel, and it's got to be saved. Now, I'm a named petitioner, but my office is around the corner. I'm touching the jail, and I would have been affected. The residents here would have been affected. The community, the businesses would have been affected. How many of these restaurants are going to have trouble surviving anyway because of COVID-19, because of all the troubles in our economy? If this would have gone forward, this would have been a terrible, terrible disaster for Chinatown. We've got to recognize Chinatown for what it is, a jewel, a treasure. And this is the first step to doing that. So thank you. Congratulations to everyone. Really, really
One of the other big issues that the judge had in his ruling was that the city did not take a hard look at the health impacts that are about to happen if this jail and demolition were to go forward. This solid building was going to be torn down. Do you know how long that would take? We don't know. But we do know because we have a representative from NYU Langone who worked with us on our testimony, which was submitted to the judge to actually spell out the dangers of the impacts of demolition and construction. A few feet away from us are all of these tenement buildings full of seniors, low-income seniors, who cannot pick up and leave, who right now are in jeopardy of COVID-19. All of the information that the city has used to create the demolition of this jail, to build a new jail, is all outdated. And what the judge said is you have to go back to the drawing board. None of this was legally done. And so if the city thinks that it could go ahead with these projects, it has to take a clear look at today's current environment. We are in a budget deficit. We have people a few weeks ago. We had a few blocks away from here in downtown hospital, refrigerated trucks with the bodies of our loved ones in them. We are not prepared to embark on something like this. The city has to take a hard look. So we're very proud also to have representatives from our legal team, Jill and Vera Sung, who have donated hundreds of hours of legal time. Who also helped us interview our lawyers. Big shout out to our attorneys who told us from the beginning we were on the right side of this. We had a winning lawsuit. And thank you to Judge Kelley for understanding the nuance and the parameters that we had to work within a land use process. I want to give an opportunity to our other co-founder, Howard Huey, to say a few words.
Thank you. My name is Howard Huey, and I just want to say what the next steps for this fight is. We fully expect the city to appeal this decision, but we stand resolute and united in standing up against this fight. So first of all, our immediate steps is to savor the victory because we have fought long, we have fought hard, we've gone to countless meetings to demonstrate our commitment to this fight. I am a COVID survivor. I still have lingering effects of COVID. But we stand resolute in knowing that high-rise mega jails and mass incarceration in the age of COVID do not mix. We are prepared to continue this fight as long as it takes and stand united in doing so. Thank you.
And also, we can't forget about why we're truly here. The proposal did not address criminal justice reform at all. When we asked questions about what programming, how are they going to be on in the inside, city had no response. And we want to make sure that we didn't want to continue the mass incarceration of our city's history. And this lawsuit is a stop to that. And hopefully it gives us a new avenue to walk with our neighbors, with organizations across the city to say, let's find a true solution to what's been happening to our criminal justice system. So right now, we'll take some questions, if anyone has.
Have community groups in the other boroughs that are against jails there been in contact with you to try to replicate this lawsuit?
Yes, we have. There's two other lawsuits other than Manhattan, one in Queens and one in the Bronx. We're in touch with them as early as today. And I think that given the judge's ruling, their attorneys are going to analyze this and see what their next steps are. But it's a move in the right direction. I should add, though, that one of our complaints in our lawsuit was that 4 locations and 4 counties were folded into one ULAIR process. That has been an issue for us. If the city stands by the idea that it must remain with 4 tied into one, then it makes sense that if one is stopped, the other ones must also be stopped. We're also looking at tremendous budget deficits. How can the city in good conscience move forward when we can't even get our kids into school in the right way, when we can't even get internet provided to low-income housing? How can we look at solutions for mass incarceration that don't make sense because they don't know what they're going to be looking like? One of the issues in our lawsuit that the judge agreed with is that the design-build process does not give the community enough information, and therefore it must be annulled. So it's very important to understand that as much as we all want criminal justice reform, as much as we acknowledge that Rikers Island is an abomination, we must be careful. This administration has no ability to see something through of this scale and of this expense. So we have no confidence that this administration is prepared to embark on such a big-scale project.
So if they do appeal, if the city will appeal, what is the process for them to appeal?
Do you want to, our legal team, do you want to answer? What's the process for the?
They'll just file an
It's just they will just file an appeal, but I don't think that they've made a decision yet. But with regard to filing an appeal, do New Yorkers really want the city of New York to be spending millions and millions of dollars fighting a lawsuit that has been closed? The book is closed on this jail site. We should not be spending millions and millions of taxpayer dollars filing an appeal to fight the Chinatown community, to fight the Brooklyn community, to fight the Bronx and Queens. The city should understand that what they have done is illegal. They got caught doing something illegal, and they should not spend more tax dollars defending their illegality.
So the city council said that they are going to
Council members as complicit in this illegality. Remember those names. Remember those people. Remember the people on our city council who blindly voted yes to the illegal process. Remember them because they are going to be voted out. Remember them where they go. Remember them in their next career. Because if they were voting for an illegal process today, they will vote for an illegal process tomorrow. And tomorrow it'll be in your county, it'll be in your neighborhood. Remember who they are, because we do.
Yes. 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 Okay? It is really important who we elect to the city council. And on that note, I think I'll let Chris Marte say a few words.
Thank you, Ed. But this is why representation matters. You know, we spent 2 years, we spent thousands of dollars, we spent hours, we spent so much energy and sweat in trying to make this process transparent because we were trying to care for the ones we love of this community. And this is what we're committed to doing as NUBC. This is not the last battle, but this is a battle that shows that Chinatown and the neighboring communities are ready for whatever the city has for us. And so I'm excited to be with these folks, and I know this won't be the last fight.
Not whatever the official people did not help you, whatever you just stand up to accept, it's not right thing. So Chinatown, we don't need a jail. We need a small business provider. After September 11, Chinatown is very bad and bad until right now is the COVID-19. So why the city is not looking for Chinatown as the problem, right? So that's why, and I know Jetney is working hard, Marty, and also the legal team. We should be to next year to find for the new officer in the city hall. Like Marty, we should be support him to the city council, all right? And also like Jenny said, we know who voted for yes last year in the city hall. Next year we should be able to kick them out. We want to try the person who should be able to support the community and helping our community. Thank you.